Assessment and Evaluation of Learning. Part 2. Number 1. Mrs. Pua is judging the worth of the project of the students in her science class based on a set of criteria. What process describes what she is doing? A. Testing. B. Measuring. C. Evaluating. D. Assessing. Answer: C. Number 2. Mrs. Acebuche is comparing measurement from evaluation. Which statement explains the difference? A. Measurement is assigning a numerical value to a given trait, while evaluation is giving meaning to the numerical value of the trait. B. Measurement is the process of gathering, while evaluation is the process of quantifying the data gathered. C. Measurement is the process of quantifying data, while evaluation is the process of organizing data. D. Measurement is a prerequisite of assessment, while evaluation is the prerequisite of testing. Answer: A. Number 3. Ms. Ricafort uses alternative methods of assessment. Which of the following will she not likely use? A. Multiple choice test. B. Reflective journal writing. C. Oral presentation. D. Developing portfolios. Answer: A. Number 4. Ms. Camba aims to measure a product of learning. Which of these objectives will she most likely set for her instruction? A. Show positive attitude towards learning common nouns. B. Identify common nouns in a reading selection. C. Construct a paragraph using common nouns. D. Use a common noun in a sentence. Answer: C. Number 5. The students of Mrs. Valino are very noisy. To keep them busy, they were given any test available in the classroom, and then the results were graded as a way to punish them. Which statement best explains if the practice is acceptable or not? A. The practice is acceptable because the students behaved well when they were given a test. B. The practice is not acceptable because it violates the principle of reliability. C. The practice is not acceptable because it violates the principle of validity. D. The practice is acceptable since the test results are graded. Answer: C. Number 6. Ms. Delos Angeles advocates assessment for learning. Which will she not likely do? A. Formative assessment. B. Diagnostic assessment. C. Placement assessment. D. Summative assessment. Answer: A. Number 7. At the beginning of the school year, the 6-year-old pupils were tested to find out who among them can already read. The result was used to determine their sections. What kind of test was given to them? A. Diagnostic. B. Formative. C. Placement. D. Summative. Answer: C. Number 8. The grade 6 pupils were given a diagnostic test in addition and subtraction of whole numbers to find out if they can proceed to the next unit. However, the results of the test were very low. What should the teacher do? A. Proceed to the next lesson to be able to finish all the topics in the course. B. Construct another test parallel to the given test to determine the consistency of the scores. C. Count the frequency of errors to find out the lessons that the majority of students need to relearn. D. Record the scores, then inform the parents about the very poor performance of their child in mathematics. Answer: C. Number 9. Mrs. Nogueras is doing an assessment of learning. At what stage of instruction should she do it? A. Before instruction. B. After instruction. C. Prior to instruction. D. During the instructional process. Answer: D. Number 10. Mr. Cartilla developed an achievement test in math for her grade 3 pupils. Before she finalized the test, she examined carefully if the test items were constructed based on the competencies that have to be tested. What test of validity was she trying to establish? A. Content validity. B. Concurrent validity. C. Predictive validity. D. Construct validity. Answer, A. Number 11. Mrs. Robles wants to establish the reliability of her achievement test in English. Which of the following activities will help achieve her purpose? A. Administer 2 parallel tests to different groups of students. B. Administer 2 equivalent tests to the same group of students. C. Administer a single test but 2 different groups of students. D. Administer 2 different tests but to the same group of students. Answer, B. Refer to the situation below in answer items 12 and 13. A teacher set the following objectives for the day's lesson. At the end of the period, the students should be able to A. Identify the parts of friendly letter. B. Construct a friendly letter using the Microsoft Word, and C. Show interest towards the day's lesson. To assess the attainment of the objectives, Ms. Sidro required the students to construct friendly letter and have it encoded at their computer laboratory using the Microsoft Word. The letter should inform one's friend about what one has learned in the day's lesson and how one felt about it. Number 12. Which is not true about the given case? A. Ms. Sidro practices a balanced assessment. B. Ms. Sidro's assessment method is performance-based. C. Ms. Sidro needs a rubric in scoring the work of the students. D. Ms. Sidro's assessment targets are all in the cognitive domain. Answer, D. Number 13. If Mr. Paraiso will have to make a scoring rubric for the students' output, what format is better to construct considering that the teacher has limited time to evaluate their work? A. Analytic rubric. B. Holistic rubric. C. Either A or B. D. Neither A nor B. Answer, B. Number 14. The school principal has 3 teacher applicants, all of whom graduated from the same institution and are licensed teachers. She only needs to hire one. What should she do to choose the best teacher from the 3? 1. Give them a placement test. 2. Interview them on why they want to apply in the school. 3. Let them demonstrate how to teach a particular lesson. 4. Study their portfolios to examine the qualities of the students' outputs when they were in college. A. 1 and 2. B. 2 and 3. C. 1 and 3, 4. D. 2, 3, and 4. Answer, D. Number 15. What should be done first when planning for a performance-based assessment? A. Determine the table of specifications of the tasks. B. Set the competency to be assessed. C. Set the criteria in scoring the task. D. Prepare a scoring rubric. Answer, B. Number 16. To maximize the amount of time spent for performance-based assessment, which one should be done? A. Plan a task that can be used for instruction and assessment at the same time. B. Assess one objective for one performance task. C. Set objectives only for cognitive domains. D. Limit the task to one meeting only. Answer, A. Number 17. Who among the teachers below gave the most authentic assessment task for the objective solve word problems involving the 4 basic operations? A. Mrs. Giuliano, who presented a word problem involving 4 fundamental operations and then asked the pupils to solve it. B. Mrs. Mandia, who asked her pupils to construct a word problem for a given number sentence that involves 4 fundamental operations and then asked them to solve the word problem they constructed. C. Mrs. Malong, who asked her pupils to construct any word problem that involves the 4 fundamental operations and then asked them to show how to solve it. D. Mrs. Pontapedra, who asked her pupils to construct any word problem that involves the 4 fundamental operations, then formed them by 2 so that each pair exchanged problems and helped solve each other's problem. Answer, D. Number 18. Which is wrong to assume about traditional assessment? A. It can assess individuals objectively. B. It can assess individuals at the same time. C. It is easier to administer than performance test. D. It can assess fairly all the domains of intelligence of an individual. Answer, D. Number 19. Which statement about performance-based assessment is false? A. It emphasizes merely process. B. It also stresses doing, not only knowing. C. It accentuates on process as well as product. D. Essay tests are an example of performance-based assessments. Answer, A. Number 20. Under which assumption is portfolio assessment based? A. Portfolio assessment is a dynamic assessment. B. Assessment should stress the reproduction of knowledge. C. An individual learner is adequately characterized by a test score. D. An individual learner is inadequately characterized by a test score. Answer, D. Number 21. Which is a good portfolio evidence of a student's acquired knowledge and writing skills? A. Project. B. Test results. C. Reflective journal. D. Critiqued outputs. Answer, C. Number 22. When planning for portfolio assessment, which should you do first? A. Set the targets for portfolio assessment. B. Exhibit one's work and be proud of one's collection. C. Select evidences that could be captured in one's portfolio. D. Reflect on one's collection and identify strengths and weaknesses. Answer, A. Number 23. Which kind of rubric is best to use in rating students' projects done for several days? A. Analytic. B. Holistic. C. Either holistic or analytic. D. Both holistic and analytic. Answer, A. Number 24. Which is not true of an analytic rubric? A. It is time-consuming. B. It is easier to construct than the holistic rubric. C. It gives one's level of performance per criterion. D. It allows one to pinpoint the strengths and weaknesses of one's work. Answer, B. Number 25. Mrs. Bacani prepared a rubric with 5 levels of performance described in 5 excellent, 4 very satisfactory, 3 satisfactory, 2 needs improvement, 1 poor. After using this rubric with these descriptions, she found out that most of her students had a rating of 3. Even those who are evidently poor in their performance had a rating of satisfactory. Could there be a possible error in the use of the rubric? A. Yes, the teacher could have committed the generosity error. B. Yes, the teacher could have committed the central tendency source of error. C. No, it is just common to see more of the students having grade of 3 in a 5-point scale. D. No, such result is acceptable as long as it has a positive consequence to the students.